Hello, welcome to a new video. If you're new here, my name's Katie and I'm a full-time artist, and today I thought I would do a day in the life and record a vlog of everything that I get up to. I think today's going to be quite a standard day, and I haven't recorded a proper vlog in a while. Every month I was recording a sort of like roundup chatty art recap, which I was planning on being like vlog style, but monthly vlogs just aren't my thing and I don't really record through the month. So daily vlogs are definitely the way to go for me, and I just feel like this helps you get to know me a bit more, especially compared to the chatty recaps. So I don't think I'm going to do those anymore, but do let me know what you think down in the comments because I always value your feedback. And I am still going to show you some work today because last week was Folktale week and I'm really proud of the artwork that I created, so I will show you that in this vlog. But I'm not going to round up everything that I did in November. One of the reasons why I don't film daily vlogs is because I feel like I don't have that much to show you and it's really boring. So you'll have to let me know if this is really boring. But when I watch vlogs, I really like seeing the day-to-day stuff, even if it's just emails and things. Because today is just a very typical day. As a full-time artist, I don't actually create that much artwork. I have to really make time in my day for that. And so most of my time is spent at the computer, doing admin, emails, and working on some like digital projects. I do have to finish some artwork for Junk Journal January, so I'm creating the graphics for that, and those are all being made physically because I think you can really tell the difference when I'm doing it on Photoshop versus in real life, and then I'm scanning them in. So I've got those to finish this morning, which is a really fun task, so there will be some journaling content in this as well. But I generally start my days doing 3 tasks, and I'm always at my desk by 9 a.m. It's 8:40 now, so I'm just going to crack on with my emails and then I will show you my Notion setup so you can see how my week is planned out. So I hope you enjoyed this video and we're going to crack on into my day. So this is my Notion setup. This is quite recent for me. I do have paper planners which I use, and I still really like the feeling of taking those off. So sometimes they are just a duplicate for this. But I really like having it digitally as well now because I can add things on really easily and move things about. So if I don't do something on the Tuesday, I'll just move it to the Wednesday and it's no problem at all. So this is my setup for the week. It's Wednesday the 23rd of November as I'm filming this, and these are the 3 tasks I mentioned. So these are the ones that I start my day with. I didn't have any Etsy orders today, so I can take that off straight away, and I've done all my emails and I reply to my comments as well. This was a task which I generally was really bad at, so by incorporating it into my daily task and doing it first thing, it meant that I'm a lot more on top of it now. So you can see my Monday and Tuesday. Sometimes I'll add more to this like on the day, so I try and plan my week on Monday morning and fill this out as best I can. But as the day goes on, I'll add to it depending on what comes in or if I get any new work come in. So obviously we're on Wednesday now and I can't take any of this off, except I am currently filming the YouTube video for this week because I've decided to do it a vlog, but I'll take that off at the end of the day. So this is what I'm doing today. This isn't really one for me to do because the Tate are uploading it, but it's just so that I've got a reminder that that's going live today. Then I need to do a carousel post on Instagram later, so I need to write a caption for that and then I'll post it tonight. The video which I'm doing now, and I need to finish the junk journal proofs which I mentioned earlier, then I need to send them to Meg. I also am trialing YouTube Shorts at the moment, so I've got that here so I remember to upload it, but I do actually need to re-export it because it has different... I just upload my Instagram Reels, but I need to re-export it because YouTube needs it a lot higher resolution. So I need to re-export the reel. So then I can upload it onto YouTube. I know sometimes shorts can be quite annoying, but it's been really helpful for my view count and it reaches a lot more viewers that aren't subscribed to me, so I think it will be good in the long run for my audience. Then I've got some sketches to do for a new project, and finally I have an invoice to write, which I'll send off later. Tomorrow I've actually got a day off, so I'm going Christmas shopping with my twin sister, which is really nice. I don't often have days off in the week, but she works a lot of hours, so this was the only time we can fit in before December comes. And December is a really busy month for both of us, so I'm really looking forward to that. And then Friday, I've got my Patreon Zoom call, so this is the drawing session we do every couple of months on Zoom, so that's always really nice, and I've curated all of like the references and things, which was one of my tasks on Tuesday. And I need to do my accounts. I want to try and pre-film a lot of content because December is so busy, so I've got to film a YouTube video on there as well, and then I post on Instagram generally Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, so I've just got that there too. Then I've got some more blocks down here, so I've got the priority, which are like my main tasks for the week that I want to like focus on. So obviously the Tate reel is quite a big one, and then the Patreon Zoom on Friday. These were supplies which I ordered yesterday, so this is just where I write things that I need. When I'm like packing Etsy orders and I notice stock levels going down, I'll just write that here, and those have all been ordered. I think the paper's arriving today actually. And then these are things which I need to schedule in, so just things that I don't want to forget. That I find it really helpful to write things down, so and they're not just floating about in my brain and I don't leave things to the last minute. So those are there. And then this is my Patreon content calendar, so I've got a separate tab for this for all these tasks, which I can put like in progress or complete. But this is really helpful for me to see as a calendar view. And then I also create this graphic for my patrons, which I upload at the beginning of each month. And that's just, again, another visual for me to see and some key dates there. But it's basically what this is, but without all of the tasks. This is like the back end of my Patreon content, and then this is what my patrons see. So it's really basic, and I might add to it as I go, but this is like my first foray into digital planning. And now I need to get on with some of this work. So I think my first thing I'm going to do is do the caption and the post for Tate, because then that's all ready for later and it's quite a quick task I can tick off. And then I'll work on the junk journal January proofs. So we just had some lunch, we went out for a nice walk. Usually I would walk and post the orders, but today we just did a loop around the house, did about half an hour, it just gets us away from our desks. And I also finished up the junk journal January pieces, which you'll have seen. I decided not to scan that last one, I've scanned all the other ones, but because it was so big, because it's going to be for the YouTube banner, it needs to be a lot bigger, and then it works for all different screen sizes, so I've just photographed that one and then I'll edit it. Just had a delivery for the paper I mentioned earlier. So I get my paper from Merit, and I'm going to open this up now. So this is actually different paper to the ones that I've had before. This is heavier, so this is 316 and I think the other one was 240. But this also has a slight texture, and there's only 25 sheets in here, so I'm just trying it out. But it's definitely more expensive than the other type I had and bought in the, I think it was the August vlog when I got the printer and decided to start doing my prints at home. But it's still a bit of trial and error on trying to find a paper that I'm really happy with. So I'm going to try this and see how it goes. I do really like a heavier weight, and I do like that bit of texture. So I'm hopeful for this one because I do like this brand. I think the colours come out really nicely. I just want that bit more texture. So I'm going to test it out on the December Patreon prints. And if it goes well, then I'll be using that going forward. So obviously my desk is very messy again. I constantly have to clear it. But whilst we're here chatting, I thought I would show you the Folktale week work. So I'm going to grab the Folktale week sketchbook and I'll talk you through it. So Folktale week is a prompt list that happens every year, and I did join in last year and I did this work. So this was following a Japanese folktale called Momotaro, who's born from a peach. And that was really fun. It was a lot of work. It was during my daily art challenge. Again, this is a prompt every day for 7 days, so I did do it daily again and posted it on my Instagram. But this time I decided to write my own story, and I really enjoyed it. It felt like a really nice way to be creative with words as well as pictures, and I'm really proud of it. I think this is one of my favourite projects to date. It was kind of a last minute thing. I'd always planned on planning more for it and doing like thumbnail sketches and really working out what I wanted to do, but November was quite a busy month for me, and it was one of those things I kept pushing. So it got to Sunday night before the challenge started, and then I finally wrote my story and worked out what my spreads were going to look like. It was also that night that I decided to work in an accordion or concertina sketchbook. So you might remember this from the art haul I did when we went to Winchester. And I had no idea what I was going to do with it. I thought I was going to do some landscapes, but then I thought it would work really nicely as a Folktale week story because there's enough spreads and then they're all interlinked. And I think that's really what makes this project and what made it really exciting for me. It is cotton rag paper, so if I show you the reverse, you'll see that there is a texture on it. You can see at the bottom all of the like raw edges. So this is handmade cotton rag paper. It's a brand called Indigo Artway. I haven't heard of these before, but I am really impressed. And this was a really reasonably priced sketchbook. I think it was $6.99 from Winchester Framing, which was the art shop I visited. And I just picked it up on a whim, but I'm definitely impressed and I would get more. I want to do like a title page and put Folktale Week here, and I do want to fill in this spread at the back as well, but otherwise it's completely finished. I will put in some close-ups and some of the footage that I did film for a reel. But this was really tricky at first because the texture is so different to what I'm used to. It's a lot more rough. It's not cold pressed, I don't think, but it's similar, definitely similar to cold pressed and hot pressed, because I just think it's a bit less uniform than the cold pressed normally is. There's some like bigger bumps than others, and it was just a totally different way of working for me. I normally use my Royal Talon sketchbooks and those are completely smooth. So this turned out completely different to how I imagined, but in a good way. So I used acrylic ink for basically all of these spreads and a touch of acrylic paint, and then for some of the finer details I did use gouache. I usually use like neocolours and coloured pencils for the details, and I really had to limit that. It was really good for the texture on the tree trunk to use my neocolours, but in general I mostly just used the acrylic ink. And that worked so nicely on this paper. It really could take a lot. Because it is so thick, and I can still work on the other side, like it hasn't bled through or anything, so really impressed with the paper. It took me a while to get used to it because obviously I had to change my way of working because I couldn't add my usual details layer. And that's always the layer that I say saves me and that I'm always relying on. So I really had to do things differently. I definitely found it hard to photograph, especially this page where it was lighter in the middle. And I really like the page where I've added the stars, but the whole story that I've written was that this Foolish Apprentice stole the stars. So I found these ones a little harder to do because it just feels a little bit less magical, but that was the whole point of the story. And then the end spread, I kept the bird the same, so this is a field fair. That's the one that the wizard flies on, and then I wanted to reflect that in the final spread as well. And I'm really pleased with it. I think it was really hard to photograph to show it because every page links, and it's hard to show you even now. So that's why I put in the footage of me filming it in one long thing, which I put on the floor and just try to show how they all interlink, because this is one of those projects that looks better in real life, I think. It was really hard to show it. And it's a shame that I can't show people in real life and I have to just rely on photos or video. But I am super pleased with it. It was a labour of love, and I did find it difficult at times because they are such finished illustrations, and obviously I'm not used to that. It took me maybe 2 hours each day to do each spread, and I did do it per day because, again, I wanted to be ahead of myself and pre-plan and pre-work on this, but I didn't have enough time. And so considering that, I think it came out really, really nicely, and it's really inspired me to maybe do another narrative piece like this and write my own story. I could even do one again on the back. It felt like a lot of pressure because if I messed up one, then you can't like tear it out or anything. Not that I do that in my sketchbooks, but it kind of felt like extra pressure to make it good because it's going to be like one really long spread by the end of it. But thankfully it turned out okay, and I think if I was to do one here, it would probably be like a similar style, folktale-esque, or like a children's book story. This has really got me excited for children's book illustration, which isn't something that I was sure on before. It's kind of been a bit scary for me, and this has definitely made it feel a little bit more approachable. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out, and this was like my main project for November. So it ran from the 14th to the 20th, and there's loads of pieces on the Folktale hashtag. I did find that engagement was down this week. It didn't feel as community-based as it normally does in terms of comments and reach, but I did find that my reel at the end of the challenge, which I posted on Monday, got more of a reach. So Instagram are definitely still pushing reels. I was slightly disappointed towards the middle and end of the week that Instagram wasn't showing this to my audience or a wider audience, just because I put so much effort in. But I think that's always the thing with social media. And so what I did, and what I'm thinking this of, is like a portfolio piece. So it hasn't affected the way I feel about it. I'm still really proud of it and really pleased I did it. So I'm kind of seeing this as something that will go in my portfolio and show I can do children's book illustration and I can do characters, because again, that's definitely something I don't do. This was totally out of my comfort zone, drawing these little people, and again on this spread, I just don't draw characters because I find it really hard to stylize. And considering I didn't do much practice for these, I'm really happy with how they turned out. So that was a really nice project to work on, and I really wanted to show it to you today. It's just started to rain now. I don't know what the lighting's like, but it's definitely a lot darker in here now. I'm just going to look at my to-do list. So I've got the Tate reel going up. That usually goes up between 2 and 3, so that should be any minute now. And that seems like a good segue to go into the footage that I did film for that one. So as with most of my reels, I always film in the landscape format, so then I can reuse my footage, usually my process videos, for YouTube and for a reel. I'm not going to do a full video on this one, but I will put those clips in of me painting it right now. that was the third and final reel I did for Tate this month, which was inspired by their EY exhibition, Cezanne, at Tate Modern. And these are all the paintings that I did. So this was the first one, this was the everyday landscape of my desk, and I do have a process video of this one and explaining a bit more about the meaning behind it and why some of it's unfinished and how that's inspired by Cezanne, which I will link up in the cards. Then I did some plein air painting, so I did this one by the lakes, which you'll have seen in a vlog as well, where I went to. I've been a few times now to these lakes and I really enjoy painting them, but sometimes it's like I've done this before so I can tick it off, whereas Cezanne painted Mont Saint-Victoire over 60 times, so this was really nice for me to go back there and see it in a different way, and it has inspired me to continue and keep trying different styles and not just writing it off now that I've done it. So that one was done in my sketchbook. And then the last reel, which you'll have just seen, I did 3 paintings inspired by a still life setup I did just on my desk, because Cezanne loved to paint apples, so that was the main focus. So I did this one with the thicker impasto marks using acrylic paint. Then I focused mostly on line and shape for this one, so this one was the quickest. And finished with this piece, which I did with watercolour, and I very rarely use watercolour. It's not a medium I'm very comfortable with, but I was really pleased with how this one turned out, especially the apples. I think they really stand out in here, and so it was nice to push out my comfort zone, and a really lovely project to work on in November. I'm really incredibly proud to have worked with Tate on this, and for them to approach me, it feels like such a privilege, and I'm really grateful to have the opportunity. So if you haven't seen the reels yet, I will link them all down below. You can find the third reel on my page, but the other 2 are just on their Instagram, so I will pop a link down to those below for you to check out. So that's going live in a minute. It will be up already for you, and I'm going to send a few more emails, write that invoice, and do some sketches. You can always tell it's the ending clip in these vlogs because I feel like you can see it in my face, but I always get really tired by the end of the day. I usually do get a second wind, and so I do a bulk of work from 8 till 10 p.m. So I do find the afternoons a little bit slower and I take them a little bit quieter. I think I might have mentioned that in another vlog, but I do stop working at 5 and then we go make dinner and then I'll come back on my computer later. I didn't finish those sketches, so I'll probably work on those tonight. But I did do everything else in my list, so I'm really chuffed. The Tate reel has gone live and I'm really happy with it, so that all went well and it's all on the Tate Instagram as well as mine. And I think that's everything that I wanted to mention in this vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was interesting seeing my typical workday. A lot of my time is spent on the computer, and that's why I always worry about these vlogs, because I can't always show you and I'm just here sat at my desk and it's quite boring and it's not all like painting and stuff. But I did put in a few clips from like the Tate reel and things, so I hope that was interesting, and it was nice to do some journaling as well as part of my job. So thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it, and I will see you next Sunday with a new video. Have a good week, and I'll see you later.